The starship Horizon's Edge floated silently in the darkness of space. It was a massive ship, built for both war and peace. Today, it served as a meeting place between two species who had never trusted each other before. Park Do-hyun stood in the engineering bay, his hands deep inside a broken power conduit. Sparks flew around his fingers, but he didn't flinch. He had done this work for 8 years. His hands knew what to do, even when his mind wandered elsewhere. "They're here," said a voice behind him. Do-hyun didn't turn around. He recognized the voice of his friend, Lieutenant Kim Yuna. She was the ship's communications officer, which meant she always knew everything before anyone else. "The Keth delegation?" Do-hyun asked. He pulled a burned wire from the conduit and tossed it aside. "Not just any delegation." Yuna stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "The princess herself is coming. Princess Valara of the Keth Empire." Do-hyun paused for just a moment. Then he continued his work. "That's above my pay grade. I just fix things. Everyone has to attend the welcome ceremony. Captain's orders." Do-hyun sighed. He hated ceremonies. He hated standing in lines and pretending to smile. But orders were orders. 1 hour later, Do-hyun stood in the main hangar with 200 other crew members. They wore their formal uniforms, cleaned and pressed. The hangar was decorated with both human and Keth symbols. It was a show of respect, carefully designed by diplomats who worried about every small detail. The Keth shuttle landed smoothly. Its design was elegant, with curves and flowing lines that seemed almost alive. The door opened, and a group of Keth officials walked out. They were tall and thin, with pale blue skin and 4 arms each. They moved gracefully, like dancers. Then she appeared. Princess Valara stepped out of the shuttle, and the entire hangar seemed to hold its breath. She was different from the others. Her skin shimmered with colors that shifted in the light: blue, purple, silver, green. Her eyes were large and dark, filled with intelligence and curiosity. She wore a simple white robe that made her look both powerful and approachable. She was, without doubt, the most striking being Do-hyun had ever seen. The captain stepped forward and bowed. "Princess Valara, welcome aboard the Horizon's Edge. We are honored by your presence." Valara smiled. Her voice was soft but carried across the hangar easily. "Thank you, Captain. I have waited many years to meet humans in person. Your species fascinates me." The ceremony continued with speeches and formal greetings. Do-hyun stood perfectly still, his eyes fixed on a point on the far wall. He didn't look at the princess. He didn't look at anyone. When the ceremony ended, the crew was dismissed. Do-hyun turned and walked toward the exit as quickly as he could without running. "Engineer Park." The voice stopped him. It was her voice. Do-hyun's back stiffened. He turned slowly. Princess Valara stood a few meters away, watching him with those large, curious eyes. "Yes, Princess?" His voice was calm and respectful. "I noticed you during the ceremony. You were the only one who didn't look at me, not even once." Do-hyun felt the eyes of other crew members on him. This was dangerous. Every word mattered. "I meant no disrespect, Princess. I was focused on my duties." Valara tilted her head slightly. It was a gesture that seemed almost human. "What duties require such focus during a welcome ceremony?" "I was thinking about the power conduit I need to repair, Princess. Engineering never stops." It was a lie, and he suspected she knew it. But she didn't push further. "I see. What is your name?" "Park Do-hyun, Princess. Senior Engineer." "Engineer Park." She seemed to taste the name. "I hope we will have a chance to speak again." "As you wish, Princess." He bowed and left the hangar. His heart was beating faster than it should. Over the next few days, Do-hyun made sure to stay away from the princess. It wasn't easy. The ship was large, but the Keth delegation was everywhere. They attended meetings, toured facilities, and observed human activities with endless curiosity. Princess Valara was the most curious of all. She asked questions about everything. She wanted to know how humans ate, how they slept, how they made decisions. She watched crew members work and asked them to explain their tasks. Do-hyun heard stories from other engineers. The princess had visited the medical bay and asked about human diseases. She had gone to the kitchen and tasted human food. She had even watched a group of off-duty crew members play cards and asked them to teach her the rules. She was, everyone agreed, genuinely interested in humans. She wasn't cold or arrogant like some of the other Keth officials. She laughed easily and admitted when she didn't understand something, but Do-hyun stayed away. When he heard she was coming to the engineering bay, he found work in a different section. When she ate in the main dining hall, he took his meals in his quarters. When she walked down a corridor toward him, he turned and went another way. He knew people were noticing. Yuna certainly noticed. "You're being strange," she said one evening. They sat in her quarters, sharing a bottle of rice wine she had saved for special occasions. "I'm being careful," Do-hyun replied. "Careful of what? She's not going to bite you." "She's a princess, from an alien empire. Everything she sees and hears goes back to her government. One wrong word from me could cause problems for everyone." Yuna shook her head. "You're overthinking this. She's just curious about humans. Talk to her. Answer her questions. Be normal." "I am being normal. This is my normal." Yuna looked at him for a long moment. She had known him for 5 years. She knew he was hiding something, but she also knew he wouldn't talk until he was ready. "Fine," she said. "But you can't avoid her forever. The ship isn't that big." Do-hyun took a drink of wine. "Watch me." But even as he said it, he knew Yuna was right. He couldn't avoid the princess forever. And somewhere deep inside, in a place he didn't want to examine too closely, he wasn't sure he wanted to. Princess Valara was unlike anyone he had ever met. She was intelligent, curious, and genuine. When she smiled, it reached her eyes. When she asked questions, she actually listened to the answers. She was also impossibly far above him, a princess and an engineer, an alien and a human, 2 people from different worlds, different cultures, different species. It was better to stay away. It was safer. Do-hyun finished his wine and stood up. "I should get back to work. That power conduit won't fix itself." Yuna smiled sadly. "It's the middle of the night, Do-hyun. Power conduits don't care what time it is." He left her quarters and walked through the quiet corridors of the ship. The lights were dimmed for the night cycle. Most of the crew was asleep. He reached the engineering bay and went back to work. His hands moved automatically, pulling wires and connecting circuits. His mind wandered to places he wished it wouldn't go. He thought about the princess's voice, the way she tilted her head, the shimmer of colors on her skin. He pushed the thoughts away and focused on his work. It was better this way. It was safer. He kept telling himself that. He almost believed it. Princess Valara had studied humans for most of her life. She had read their history, their literature, their scientific papers. She had watched recordings of their wars and their celebrations. She thought she understood them. She was wrong. Living among humans was completely different from studying them. They were louder than she expected, more emotional, more unpredictable. They laughed at things that weren't funny and cried at things that weren't sad. They formed friendships in hours and held grudges for years. They were, she decided, absolutely fascinating. But one human fascinated her more than all the others. Park Do-hyun. She first noticed him at the welcome ceremony. While every other human stared at her with curiosity or admiration or fear, he looked at nothing. His eyes were fixed on some distant point, as if she didn't exist. At first, she thought he was being rude. Then she thought he was afraid. But neither explanation felt right. When she spoke to him, his voice was calm and respectful. His words were proper. But there was something underneath, something he was hiding. She decided to learn more. Over the following days, Valara watched Do-yun whenever she could. She didn't approach him directly. She simply observed. And what she saw surprised her. He was, she realized, one of the most respected humans on the ship. She watched him in the engineering bay during a routine inspection. A young engineer made a mistake that caused a small explosion. Smoke filled the room. People shouted. But Do-yun moved calmly through the chaos. He shut off the power, cleared the smoke, and fixed the problem in less than 2 minutes. Then he put his hand on the young engineer's shoulder and spoke quietly to him. The young man nodded, looking relieved. He didn't shout, he didn't blame, he just fixed the problem and moved on. She watched him in the dining hall during meal times. He always sat with the junior crew members, not with the senior officers. He listened more than he talked. When someone told a joke, he smiled. When someone shared a problem, he offered quiet advice. The young crew members looked at him with respect and affection. He was, she realized, something like an older brother to them. She watched him during an emergency drill. An alarm sounded, warning of a simulated hull breach in Section 7. Crew members ran to their stations. Do-yun ran toward the breach. He was the first one there. He worked quickly, sealing the breach with temporary patches while others arrived to help. When the drill ended, the captain praised the crew's response time. Do-yun said nothing. He just went back to his regular work. He was brave, he was skilled, he was kind, and he was avoiding her completely. Valara found this very strange. In Keth culture, people avoided others for only 2 reasons. Either they feared them, or they hated them. But Do-yun didn't seem like a man who feared anything, and she had done nothing to earn his hatred. There had to be another reason. She decided to ask someone who knew him. Lieutenant Kim Yuna was easy to find. As the communications officer, she spent most of her time on the bridge. Valara approached her during a quiet moment. "Lieutenant Kim, may I speak with you?" Yuna stood up quickly and bowed. "Of course, Princess. How can I help you?" "I have questions about one of your crew members." "Engineer Park Do-hyun." Something flickered in Yuna's eyes. Surprise? Amusement? It was gone before Valara could identify it. "Do-hyun? What would you like to know?" "He avoids me. I want to know why." Yuna hesitated. Valara could see her choosing her words carefully. "Princess, Do-hyun is a private person. He doesn't talk much. He doesn't socialize much. It's just his way. But he socializes with the junior crew members. I've seen him. That's different. He's known them for years. They're like family to him." "Is he afraid of me?" Yuna laughed. It was a short, surprised sound. "Afraid? Princess Do-hyun isn't afraid of anything. Last year, there was a plasma fire in Engineering Bay 3. The whole section was burning. Everyone ran out. Do-hyun ran in. He pulled 3 people out of the flames. He had burns on his arms for weeks. He never complained once." Valara processed this information. "Then why does he avoid me?" Yuna was quiet for a moment. "I don't know, Princess. I truly don't. But I know Do-hyun. Whatever his reason, it's not about fear or disrespect." "Then what is it about?" "That's something you'll have to ask him." Valara nodded slowly. "Thank you, Lieutenant. You've been helpful." She walked away, her mind working. The mystery had only deepened. Do-hyun was brave, respected, and kind. He wasn't afraid of fire or explosions or death, but he avoided her like she was dangerous. What was he protecting himself from? She decided to watch him more closely. The opportunity came 2 days later. There was a problem with the ship's water purification system. It wasn't dangerous, but it needed to be fixed quickly. Do-hyun was assigned to the job. Valara went to the purification room and stood in the doorway. She didn't announce herself. She just watched. Do-hyun worked with smooth efficiency. His hands moved quickly, disconnecting pipes and checking filters. He muttered to himself sometimes, thinking out loud. He seemed completely absorbed in his work. Then he noticed her. He went very still. For a moment, their eyes met. Valara saw something in his expression, something complicated. Then it was gone, hidden behind a mask of calm professionalism. "Princess." He bowed his head slightly. "Do you need something?" "I'm observing. I want to understand how human ships function." "The water purification system isn't very interesting, Princess, just filters and pumps." "I find it interesting." He didn't respond. He turned back to his work, but his movements were different now. Stiffer, more controlled. He was aware of her watching. Valara stepped into the room. "Engineer Park, may I ask you a question?" "Of course, Princess." "Why do you avoid me?" His hands stopped moving. He didn't turn around. "I don't avoid you, Princess." "You do. You leave rooms when I enter. You take different corridors when you see me coming. You've never looked at me directly until this moment." Silence. Valara waited. Finally, Do-hyun turned to face her. His expression was unreadable. "Princess, with respect, I'm just an engineer. I'm not trained for diplomatic interactions. I don't want to say the wrong thing and cause problems." "You think you'll cause problems by talking to me?" "I think it's possible. Words matter. Between our species, they matter even more." Valara considered this. It was a reasonable answer. Logical. Careful, but it wasn't the whole truth. She could feel it. "That's not the only reason," she said. Something flickered in his eyes. "Princess, you're hiding something. I don't know what it is, but I will find out." She stepped closer. "I'm very patient, Engineer Park, and I'm very curious. It's one of my worst qualities." For a moment, something almost like a smile touched his lips. Then it was gone. "I should get back to work, Princess. The water system won't fix itself." Valara nodded. "Of course. I won't disturb you further." She left the room. But she didn't go far. She stood in the corridor outside, thinking. Park Do-hyun was a puzzle, and Valara had always loved puzzles. She would figure him out, no matter how long it took. Back in the purification room, Do-hyun stood very still. His heart was beating too fast. His hands were shaking slightly. She was too smart, too observant. She saw through his excuses like they were made of glass. He couldn't keep avoiding her. She would just keep pushing, keep asking, keep watching. Eventually, she would corner him, and he would have to tell her the truth. The truth he didn't want to admit even to himself. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Then he went back to work. The filters needed cleaning. The pumps needed adjusting. There was work to do. He focused on the work. It was the only thing that helped. But even as his hands moved through familiar tasks, his mind kept returning to her, the shimmer of her skin, the intelligence in her eyes, the way she said his name. He was in trouble, deep trouble, and he had no idea how to get out of it. It wasn't the final agreement. There were still months of negotiations ahead, but it was a beginning, a sign that humans and Keth could work together. Both sides celebrated. The captain ordered a ship-wide party. The main recreation hall was decorated with lights and banners. Music played. Food and drinks were served. Humans and Keth mingled together, talking and laughing and learning about each other. Do-hyun didn't want to go. He had a long list of reasons. The power conduit in Section 4 needed attention. The backup generator was making a strange noise. The atmospheric processors were running a bit hot. "You're going," Yuna said firmly. She stood in the doorway of his quarters, blocking his escape. "I have work to do." "The work can wait. This is important. Humans and Keth are finally becoming friends. You need to be there." "Why? I'm not a diplomat. I won't know what to say to them." "You don't have to say anything. Just show up. Eat some food. Pretend to smile. Then you can leave." Do-hyun sighed. He knew that look on Yuna's face. She wouldn't give up. 1 hour, he said. 2 hours. 90 minutes. Yuna smiled. Done. The recreation hall was crowded and loud. Do-Yun stayed near the edges, holding a glass of water he didn't drink. He nodded politely when people spoke to him and gave short answers to questions. He counted the minutes, 60 minutes left, then he could leave. He saw the princess across the room. She was surrounded by humans, talking and laughing. She seemed to be enjoying herself. Her skin shimmered with warm colors, gold and pink and soft orange. Someone told her a joke, and she laughed. It was a real laugh, bright and genuine. Do-Yun looked away. 55 minutes left. He decided to step outside for some air. The observation deck was connected to the recreation hall by a short corridor. It would be quiet there, empty. He was wrong. The observation deck was dark except for the light of distant stars. Do-Yun walked to the large window and looked out at the universe. It was beautiful and cold and endless. It made him feel small in a good way, like his problems didn't matter. Engineer Park. He turned. Princess Valara stood in the doorway. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then she stepped inside, and the door closed behind her. Princess, Do-Yun bowed his head. I was just leaving. No, you weren't. She walked toward him. Her steps were slow and deliberate. You were hiding, just like you've been hiding for the past 3 weeks. I haven't been hiding. I've been working. You've been avoiding me. She stopped a few meters away. I've tried to be patient, Engineer Park. I've tried to give you space, but my patience is running out. Do-Yun said nothing. There was nothing to say. Valara's eyes were hard. I want to know why you avoid me. And I want the truth this time. Not excuses about diplomacy or being careful with words, the real reason. Princess, I've told you. You've told me nothing. Her voice was sharp. You've told me lies that insult both of us. I'm not a fool, Engineer Park. I know when someone is hiding something. Silence fell between them. The stars burned in the darkness outside. Do-Yun looked at her. Really looked. She was angry. He had never seen her angry before. It made her seem more real somehow, more human. You want the truth? He said quietly. Yes. The truth is complicated. I don't care. Tell me anyway. He turned back to the window. He couldn't look at her while he said this. In Keth culture, why do people avoid each other? She hesitated, surprised by the question. Because they fear each other or hate each other. Only 2 reasons? Those are the main ones, yes. Do-Yun nodded slowly. Humans are different. We avoid people for many reasons. Fear, hatred, yes, but also other things. What other things? He was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was very soft. Sometimes we avoid people because we like them too much. Silence. Do-Yun kept his eyes on the stars. He couldn't see her face, but he felt her surprise. It filled the room like a physical thing. I don't understand, Valara said. No, you probably don't. He took a breath. Princess, you asked why I avoid you. There are 2 reasons. The first is what I told you before. You're a princess. I'm an engineer. Everything I say to you could be analyzed and judged. One wrong word could cause an incident. It's safer to say nothing. And the second reason? Now he turned to face her. Her expression was unreadable. Her skin had gone pale silver, all colors drained away. The second reason is that you're... He searched for words. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? Someone cold, arrogant, political, someone who sees humans as curiosities to study? Instead, you're... He stopped. I'm what? Genuine. Curious. Kind. You laugh at bad jokes. You ask real questions and actually listen to the answers. You eat human food even when you don't like it, just to understand us better. Valara stared at him. These sound like good things. They are good things. That's the problem. How is that a problem? Do-hyun's jaw tightened. He had gone too far to stop now. Because if I spend time with you, I'll start to like you. Not as a princess or a symbol or a diplomatic guest. As a person. And then you'll leave, and I'll be the fool who got attached to someone from another galaxy. The words hung in the air between them. Valara opened her mouth to speak. Then she closed it again. For the first time since Do-hyun had met her, she seemed completely lost. You avoid me because you're afraid of liking me? Yes. That's... She shook her head. That's absurd. Probably. It's completely irrational. Yes. It makes no logical sense. I know. He almost smiled. Welcome to humanity. Valara was quiet for a long time. She looked at him, then at the stars, then back at him. Her skin began to shift colors again. Blue, purple, silver. Thinking colors, he guessed. I have studied humans for many years, she said finally. I thought I understood you, but this... She shook her head. This is new. Humans are strange. Yes, you are. She stepped closer. Engineer Park, Do-hyun, I need to understand something. Is this common? Do all humans avoid people they might care about? Do-hyun considered the question. Some do. Some don't. Everyone handles it differently. But why? If you might care about someone, shouldn't you spend more time with them, not less? Logic says yes. But feelings aren't logical. That's frustrating. Yes, it is. Valara studied him. Her eyes were intense, searching. You really would rather avoid me completely than risk becoming my friend? Do-hyun met her gaze. Friend is a small word, princess. For humans, it means something very big. What does it mean? He didn't answer immediately. He thought about the junior engineers who called him for advice at midnight. About Yuna, who had saved his life twice and never asked for thanks. About friends he had lost over the years and still thought about every day. It means I would care about you even when you're gone. It means I would worry about you even when I can't help. It means a part of my mind would always be with you, no matter how far away you are. He paused. It means losing you would hurt. Valara was silent. The colors on her skin shifted and flowed, never settling. And you'd rather feel nothing than risk that pain? No. Do-hyun's voice was quiet but firm. I'd rather feel nothing than put that pain on someone who doesn't understand what it means. You're not human, princess. You don't form bonds the way we do. If I became attached to you, it would be one-sided. You'd walk away without a scratch, and I'd be left bleeding. The observation deck was very quiet. The stars burned in the darkness. Valara looked at him for a long moment. Then she spoke. You're wrong. Do-hyun blinked. What? You're wrong about me. About my people. She stepped even closer. We form bonds, Do-hyun. Different from humans, yes, but we still form them. We still feel pain when we lose people we care about. I didn't mean... You made assumptions. Her voice was calm but firm. You decided what I could and couldn't feel. You didn't ask. You just decided, and then you ran away. Do-hyun had no response to that. She was right. He knew she was right. I'm sorry, he said. Valara nodded slowly. I accept your apology. But now we have a problem. What problem? She smiled. It was small and strange and beautiful. I'm very curious about you, Do-hyun, and now I'm even more curious. You can't avoid me forever. I can try. You'll fail. He looked at her for a long moment. Then, despite everything, he smiled back. Probably. They stood there in the starlight, two people from different worlds, looking at each other as if for the first time. The party continued in the recreation hall. Laughter and music drifted down the corridor. But on the observation deck, everything was quiet. and everything had changed. He lay in his bunk and stared at the ceiling. His mind kept returning to the conversation on the observation deck. The things he had said, the things she had said back. He had told her the truth, part of it anyway. He had admitted he was afraid of caring about her. But he hadn't told her everything. He hadn't told her that it was already too late. Do-hyun got out of bed and went for a walk. The ship was quiet at night. Most of the crew was asleep. The corridors were empty except for the occasional security patrol. He walked without direction, letting his feet carry him. He ended up at Engineering Bay 2, his favorite place on the ship. It was small and cluttered and smelled like machine oil. The hum of generators filled the air. It felt like home. He sat down at his workbench and picked up a broken scanner. It had stopped working 3 days ago. Someone had dropped it. The casing was cracked, and the internal circuitry was damaged. He began to repair it. His hands moved automatically, pulling apart components and checking connections. It was mindless work, exactly what he needed. His thoughts drifted. Princess Valara. She was clever. Too clever. She had seen through every excuse he offered. She had pushed until he had no choice but to tell her the truth. But he still hadn't told her the whole truth. The whole truth was worse. The whole truth was that humans didn't just get attached to people. They fell in love. Completely. Helplessly. Sometimes with people they barely knew. Sometimes with people they could never have. Do-hyun wasn't sure if that was what he felt for Valara. It was too early. They had barely spoken. He didn't know her favorite color or her childhood memories or the sound of her laugh when she was truly happy. But he wanted to know. That was the problem. He wanted to know everything about her. That want was dangerous. He worked on the scanner until his eyes hurt. Then he put it down and rubbed his face. "You look tired." He turned. Valara stood in the doorway of the engineering bay. Do-hyun stood up quickly. "Princess, it's the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep." She stepped inside, looking around with curiosity. "What is this place?" "Engineering Bay 2. It's where I do most of my work. It's messy. It's organized. I know where everything is." She smiled slightly. That sounds like something a messy person would say. Despite himself, Do-hyun almost smiled back. "Did you need something, Princess?" "Yes." She walked toward him, her steps slow and careful. "I need to finish our conversation." "I thought we finished it." "No. You told me why you avoid me. But you didn't tell me everything." She stopped in front of his workbench. "I could see it in your eyes. You were holding something back." Do-hyun looked at her for a long moment. She was wearing a simple robe, not her formal diplomatic clothes. Her skin shimmered with soft blue light. She looked tired. She looked beautiful. He sat back down on his stool. "You're right. I was holding something back." "Tell me." "It's not easy to explain." "Try." Do-hyun picked up a small tool and turned it over in his hands. It gave him something to look at besides her face. "Princess, what I told you earlier was true. I avoid people because I don't want to get attached. But that's not the whole story. What's the rest? The rest is about humans, what we are, how we work." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "You said your people form bonds. I believe you. But I don't think you understand how humans form bonds." "Explain it to me." He set down the tool. "For your people, connections are based on compatibility, mutual benefit, logic. You evaluate someone, decide if a relationship makes sense, and then form a bond if it does." That's a simplified version, but yes. For humans, it's different. We don't choose who we connect with. It just happens, sometimes in seconds, sometimes with people we've just met. He looked at her. Sometimes with people who are completely wrong for us. Valara's expression was thoughtful. "You mean human bonds are irrational?" "Yes." "Completely. And you think that's what's happening to you?" With me? Do-yun was quiet. The question hung in the air. I think, he said slowly, that I'm in danger of it happening. Valara studied him. Her eyes were dark and deep and impossible to read. Why is that bad? Because it's one-sided. Because you'll leave. Because you're a princess and I'm nobody. You're not nobody. I'm not somebody who belongs in your world. Valara was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was soft. Do-hyun, can I tell you something about my people? Of course. We live for 400 years, sometimes more. In that time, we form many connections. We lose many connections. Friends die, family members die. Lovers leave or change or simply fade away. She paused. We feel the pain of loss just like you do. We've just had more practice with it. Do-hyun listened. He hadn't known that. My point, Valara continued, is that you're not protecting yourself by avoiding me. Pain is not optional. Loss is not optional. They're part of life, for humans and Keth alike. So what are you saying? That I should just let myself get attached and accept the pain that comes later? I'm saying that the pain isn't the only thing. There's also the connection itself, the time spent, the memories made. She leaned forward slightly. Are you really willing to give all that up just to avoid hurting? Do-hyun didn't answer. He didn't have an answer. Let me ask you a different question, Valara said. If I were human, if we were the same species, from the same planet, with no political complications, would you still avoid me? He thought about it. No. Why not? Because he hesitated. Because I'd want to know you, spend time with you, see if the connection was real. Then nothing has changed. I'm still the same person. The complications are external. They're not part of who we are. She was right. Logically, she was completely right, but logic and feelings were different things. It's not that simple, Do-hyun said. Why not? Because humans don't work like that. We can't separate our feelings from the situation. Everything is connected. Who you are, where you're from, what happens next, it all mixes together. We can't just decide not to care about the complications. Valara considered this. Then you're saying that human feelings are shaped by circumstances? Yes. And the circumstances here are complicated. What if I told you the circumstances might not be as complicated as you think? Do-hyun frowned. What do you mean? Valara hesitated. For the first time, she looked uncertain. I need to tell you something, she said. Something I haven't told anyone on this ship. What is it? The treaty between humans and Keth. It's more important than you know. Our empire is changing. The old ways are fading. My people need allies. Real allies, not just trading partners. I know. Everyone knows that. Yes, but here's what you don't know. She took a breath. I volunteered for this mission. I asked to come here. Most of my people think humans are primitive and dangerous. I wanted to prove them wrong. Do-hyun listened carefully. He sensed she was building toward something. The treaty negotiations will take months, possibly years. During that time, I'll need to be here, on this ship or others like it, working with humans. She met his eyes. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're saying you're not leaving anytime soon. I'm saying I might not leave at all. The words hit him like a physical force. He stared at her. What do you mean? I mean that if the treaty succeeds, there will need to be permanent Keth ambassadors in human space. Someone will need to live among humans, learn their ways, represent our empire. She paused. I'm volunteering for that position. Do-hyun's mind was racing. You'd leave your people? Your family? I'd still see them, but yes, my home would be here, with humans. She smiled slightly. It's not as strange as it sounds. I've always felt more comfortable around humans than around most Keth. Why? Because you're honest. You say what you feel. You don't hide behind formality and tradition. Her eyes met his. You're like me. Do-hyun didn't know what to say. Everything he thought he knew was shifting. Princess Valara. What? My name is Valara. If we're going to know each other, you should use it. He swallowed. Valara, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. I just wanted you to know the truth. The full truth. She stood up. The circumstances are complicated, yes, but maybe not as complicated as you thought. She turned to leave. Then she stopped. One more thing. Yes. You said you were in danger of forming a connection with me. One-sided, you called it. She looked back at him. You're wrong about that, too. Before he could respond, she was gone. Do-hyun sat alone in the engineering bay. The hum of generators filled the air. The broken scanner lay on his workbench, forgotten. His heart was beating very fast. He thought about what she had said. All of it. She wasn't leaving. She might stay among humans permanently. And the connection between them, it wasn't one-sided. Everything had changed. Again. He picked up the scanner and went back to work. But his hands were shaking. He had a lot to think about. He didn't seek her out. He didn't go out of his way to find her. But when she appeared in a corridor, he didn't turn around. When she came to the engineering bay, he didn't leave. When she spoke to him, he answered. It was a small change, but it felt enormous. The crew noticed. Of course they noticed. Yuna noticed most of all. So you two are talking now, she said one evening. They sat in her quarters, sharing tea like they did every week. We've always talked. You've always run away in the middle of talking. Do-hyun shrugged. I decided to stop running. Why? He was quiet for a moment. She's not what I thought she was. Yuna smiled. She never was. You were just too scared to see it. I wasn't scared. You were terrified. She was right. He had been terrified. Part of him still was. But the fear was getting smaller. Valara made it smaller just by being herself. Over the next week, they talked more, mostly about work at first. She asked questions about engineering, and he answered them. She was genuinely interested, not just polite. She wanted to understand how things worked. Then their conversations began to wander. She told him about her home world. It was called Kethos Prime, a planet of vast oceans and floating cities. She described the way light moved through the water, creating patterns of color that changed with the seasons. She talked about her family, her stern father, her gentle mother, her 3 younger siblings who drove her crazy. He told her about Earth, the small town where he grew up, the mountains he used to climb with his grandfather, the smell of rain on hot pavement, the sound of cicadas in summer. I've never heard cicadas, she said. They're loud, annoying really, but I miss them. You miss something annoying? Humans are like that. We miss things that used to bother us. She laughed. It was becoming his favorite sound. One evening, they ended up on the observation deck again. It had become their place somehow. The rest of the ship was too crowded, too busy. Here, they could talk without interruption. Can I ask you something personal? Valara said. Depends on how personal. Why did you become an engineer? Do-hyun thought about it. No one had asked him that in years. My grandfather was an engineer, he said. He built things his whole life. Bridges, buildings, machines. He used to say that engineers were the most important people in the world. Why? Because anyone can break things. It's easy. But building things, making things work, that's hard. That takes skill and patience and care. He paused. He said the world needed more builders and fewer breakers. Valara nodded slowly. I like that. Your grandfather sounds wise. He was. He died when I was 16. I'm sorry. It was a long time ago. but the sadness was still there, buried deep. It always would be. "Can I ask you something now?" Do-hyun said. "Of course. Why do you want to stay with humans? Your home sounds beautiful. Your family is there. Why leave all that?" Valara was quiet for a moment. She looked out at the stars. "My home is beautiful, but I've never felt like I belonged there." She paused. "Among my people, I'm considered strange. I ask too many questions. I get too emotional. I care too much about things that don't matter." "Like what?" "Like individuals. My people think in terms of systems and structures. The empire, the family line, the greater good. But I've always been interested in single people, their stories, their feelings, what makes them different from everyone else." "That doesn't sound strange to me." "It does to the Keth." She smiled sadly. "I've spent my whole life feeling like I was born into the wrong species." Do-hyun looked at her. "And humans feel right to you?" "Humans feel closer. You care about individuals too. You tell stories about single people and their choices. Your heroes are ordinary men and women who did extraordinary things." "That's true. Among my people, there are no heroes. There are only systems that work or don't work. Individuals don't matter." "That sounds lonely." "It is." She looked at him. "That's why I want to stay here. Not because I hate my people. I don't. But because I want to be somewhere I feel understood." Do-hyun nodded. He understood that feeling better than she knew. "Can I tell you something?" he said. "Yes. When I was younger, I used to feel like I was too much, too emotional, too intense. I would get attached to people too quickly, care about things too deeply. Everyone told me to calm down, relax, not take everything so seriously." "What did you do?" "I learned to hide it. I became quiet, reserved. I kept everything inside so nobody could tell me it was too much." He paused. "But the feelings didn't go away. They're still there. I just got better at pretending they weren't." Valara listened. Her expression was soft and sad. "That's why you were afraid of me," she said. "Yes. You thought that if you let yourself feel something, it would be too much, and I would leave and you would be alone with all that feeling." "Yes." She reached out. Her hand touched his. Her skin was cool and smooth, not quite like human skin, but not entirely different either. "Do-hyun," she said, "I need you to understand something." "What?" "Among my people, I'm considered too emotional. I feel too much. I care too deeply." She paused. "We're the same." He stared at her. The realization hit him slowly. She was right. They were the same, both of them feeling too much in worlds that told them to feel less. Both of them hiding their true selves because they were afraid of being rejected. "We're a mess," he said. "Yes, we are." She smiled. "But at least we're the same kind of mess." He looked at her hand on his. Then he turned his palm up and held her fingers gently. "This is probably a bad idea," he said. "Probably. People will talk. There will be complications. Your officials will disapprove. My captain will have concerns." "Yes. We're from different species. We don't even know if we're compatible. We'll figure it out." He looked at her face. The shimmer of colors on her skin, the depth of her eyes, the small smile on her lips. "You're not scared at all, are you?" he said. "I'm terrified," she replied. "But I've been terrified my whole life. I'm tired of letting fear make my decisions." Do-hyun thought about that. He had let fear make his decisions for years, avoiding people, hiding his feelings, keeping everyone at a distance so they couldn't hurt him. It hadn't made him happy. It had just made him alone. "Okay," he said. "Okay, what?" "Okay, let's try this. Whatever this is. Let's see what happens." Valara's skin flushed with warm colors, gold and pink and soft orange. It was beautiful. "Really?" Really. But I have one condition. What? You have to teach me about your people, your culture, your history, everything. He paused. If we're going to do this, I want to understand you. All of you. Valara squeezed his hand. I can do that. And you have to try human food. Real human food, not the diplomatic stuff. I've tried human food. You've tried the safe options. I mean the weird stuff. Fermented vegetables, spicy soup, rice cakes that stick to your teeth. She laughed. That sounds terrible. It's delicious. Trust me. I trust you. The words were simple, but they meant everything. They sat on the observation deck, holding hands, looking at the stars. The universe was vast and cold and empty. But right now, in this moment, it didn't feel that way. It felt full of possibility. Do-hyun knew there would be problems ahead, questions from the crew, concerns from the officials, complications they couldn't even imagine yet. But for the first time in a long time, he wasn't afraid. He was terrified, and he was happy anyway. Maybe that was what being human meant, feeling everything at once and moving forward anyway. He held Valara's hand and looked at the stars. The future was uncertain, but he was ready to face it. Do-hyun and Valara spent more time together. They ate meals in the dining hall, sitting across from each other and talking for hours. They walked the corridors of the ship, and he showed her the hidden places, the quiet corners and forgotten storage rooms where crew members went to be alone. They sat on the observation deck at night and watched the stars spin slowly past. They talked about everything, their childhoods, their fears, their dreams. She told him about the pressure of being a princess, always watched, always judged. He told her about the loneliness of being different, always feeling too much in a world that valued calm. My father used to tell me to control my emotions, Valara said one evening. He said that feelings were weaknesses, that they made you easy to manipulate. What did you say? I didn't say anything. I just stopped showing my feelings around him. She paused. I've been doing it for 200 years. 200 years is a long time to hide. Yes, it is. Do-hyun understood. He had been hiding for much less time, but it felt like forever. You don't have to hide with me, he said. She looked at him. Her skin shimmered with colors he couldn't name. I know, she said. That's why I like being with you. The crew noticed their relationship. Of course they did. A ship was a small place, and gossip traveled fast. Some people were curious, some were supportive, some were worried. Captain Song called Do-hyun into his office. Sit down, Engineer Park. Do-hyun sat. The captain's office was neat and organized, everything in its place. Captain Song was a careful man who thought before he acted. Do-hyun respected him. I've heard about you and the princess, Captain Song said. Yes, sir. I'm not going to tell you to stop seeing her. That's not my place. But I need you to understand the situation. I understand, sir. Do you? The captain leaned forward. She's a member of the Keth royal family. Everything she does is political. Everything. If your relationship goes wrong, it could affect the treaty. It could affect the relationship between our species for decades. Do-hyun nodded. I've thought about that. And I'm willing to take the risk. He paused. Sir, with respect, humans have never let politics stop them from caring about people. If we did, we wouldn't be human. Captain Song looked at him for a long moment. Then he smiled slightly. That's either very brave or very stupid. Probably both. Probably. The captain sat back. All right, Engineer Park. I won't interfere. But be careful. And if anything goes wrong, I expect you to handle it like a professional. Yes, sir. Dismissed. Do-hyun left the office feeling lighter. The captain's approval meant a lot. A few days later, Something happened that changed everything. The ship received a message from the Keth Empire. It was for Princess Valara, marked urgent and private. She went to her quarters to read it. Do-Yun waited in the engineering bay, trying to work. He couldn't focus. Something about the message worried him. Urgent and private usually meant bad news. An hour later, Valara came to find him. Her skin was pale gray, almost colorless. Her expression was blank. "What's wrong?" Do-Hyun asked immediately. She didn't answer. She just stood there looking at him. "Valara, what happened?" "My father is sick." Her voice was flat. "They don't know what's wrong with him. The doctors are trying everything, but he's not responding to treatment." Do-Hyun felt his chest tighten. "I'm sorry. He might die. They're not saying that, but I can tell. The way they wrote the message, they're preparing me." "What do you need? What can I do?" Valara shook her head. "Nothing. There's nothing anyone can do. He's light years away." Her voice cracked slightly. "I can't even be there." Do-Yun moved toward her. He hesitated, then put his arms around her. She was stiff at first, surprised. Then she relaxed into him. "I'm sorry," he said again. It felt useless, but it was all he had. "I haven't spoken to him in months," Valara said. Her voice was muffled against his shoulder. "We argued before I left. I said things I didn't mean. Now he might die, and those were the last words between us." Do-Hyun held her tighter. He knew that pain. He knew it too well. "When my grandfather died," he said quietly, "I wasn't there either. I was at school studying for exams. My mother called me and I took a shuttle home, but I was too late. He was gone before I arrived." Valara looked up at him. "For a long time I was angry at myself," Do-Yun continued. "I thought I should have known, should have been there. Should have said goodbye, but that's not how death works. It doesn't wait for us to be ready." "How did you forgive yourself?" "I didn't. Not really. I just learned to live with it." He paused. "But I think my grandfather would have understood. He knew I loved him. He didn't need me to be there at the end to know that." Valara was quiet. Tears ran down her face. Her skin shimmered with dark blues and grays. "I don't know if my father knows I love him," she said. "You can tell him. Send a message. Talk to him directly if you can." "What if he doesn't answer? What if he's too sick?" "Then you tried. That's all you can do." She pulled back and looked at him. Her eyes were wet, but something in them had changed. They were stronger now, clearer. "Will you help me?" she asked. "With what?" "The message. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to say I'm sorry and I love you and please don't die all at once. Nobody knows how to say that. You just say it anyway. Will you be there while I do it?" "Yes." They went to her quarters. It was strange and beautiful, decorated with Keth art and soft lighting. Valara sat at her communication console. Do-Hyun stood behind her. She stared at the screen for a long time. "I don't know where to start," she said. "Start with the truth. Tell him you're sorry about the argument. Tell him you love him. Tell him you wish you were there. That's it? That's everything." Valara took a deep breath. Then she began to speak. She talked for a long time. She apologized for the argument. She talked about her mission, about the humans she had met, about what she had learned. She told her father that she understood him better now, understood the pressure he had been under his whole life, the expectations, the burden of leading. She told him she loved him. She told him she was proud to be his daughter. She told him she would come home as soon as she could. When she finished, she ended the recording and sent it. Then she sat very still. "It's done," she said. "How do you feel?" "I don't know. Strange. Light." She looked at him. "Thank you. I didn't do anything. You were here. That's something." She paused. "That's everything." Do-Yun sat down next to her. He took her hand. "Whatever happens, you won't be alone," he said. "I'll be here. Promise?" Promise. She leaned against him. Her skin shifted to warmer colors, soft golds and gentle pinks. Do-yun? Yes? I think I understand humans now. Really understand. What do you understand? You feel everything. All the pain, all the fear, all the love. You don't filter it or control it. You just feel it all at once and you keep going anyway. She paused. It's terrifying and beautiful. I've never seen anything like it. Do-yun thought about that. She was right. Humans felt everything. It was their greatest weakness and their greatest strength. Now you understand why I was afraid of you, he said. Yes. She looked at him. And now I understand why you were right to be afraid. Feeling this much is dangerous. Is it worth it? She smiled. It was small and sad and real. Yes, it's worth it. They sat together in the quiet of her quarters. Outside, the stars continued their endless journey through the darkness. Inside, two people held on to each other and waited for news that might break their hearts. But they waited together, and that made all the difference. The news came 3 days later. The doctors had found the problem, a rare infection that affected older Keth. They had developed a treatment. He was recovering. Valara cried when she heard. Do-yun held her and said nothing. There was nothing to say. Some moments just needed to be felt. Her father sent her a message too. His voice was weak but warm. He told her he had received her recording. He told her he understood. He told her he loved her and was proud of the work she was doing. He told her to stay with the humans. She was needed there. It was, Valara said, the first time her father had ever told her he was proud. How do you feel? Do-hyun asked. I don't know. Happy. Sad. Relieved. She wiped her eyes. Everything at once. That's human. I know. She smiled. Maybe I'm becoming one of you. The treaty negotiations moved forward. There were meetings every day, discussions about trade routes and resource sharing and cultural exchange. It was slow work, complicated by centuries of distrust. But progress was being made. Valara was at the center of it. She worked with the human diplomats, explaining Keth customs and helping them understand what the Empire needed. She worked with her own officials, showing them that humans could be trusted. She was a bridge between two worlds. Do-hyun watched her with pride. She was good at this work. Better than good. She understood both sides in a way no one else did. One evening, she came to the engineering bay looking tired but satisfied. The preliminary trade agreement was approved, she said. Both sides signed. That's good news. It's very good news. It means we can start talking about the permanent arrangement. The ambassadorship. Yes. She sat down on his workbench, not caring about the grease and tools. They've officially approved my request. I'll be the Keth ambassador to human space. Do-yun felt something warm spread through his chest. You're staying. I'm staying. She looked at him. For as long as humans will have me. We'll have you for as long as you want. She laughed. That's a very human thing to say. You say that like it's a bad thing. No. Her eyes were soft. I say it like it's the best thing. They sat together in the engineering bay, surrounded by tools and machines. It wasn't romantic, it wasn't beautiful, but it felt right. Do-hyun, Valara said after a while. Yes? I want to tell you something. Something I've been thinking about. Okay. She was quiet for a moment, gathering her thoughts. When I first came to this ship, I thought I understood humans. I had studied you for years. I knew your history, your science, your art, but I didn't really understand you, not until I met you. Me specifically? Yes. You specifically. She paused. You showed me what it really means to be human, the feelings you hide, the fears you carry, the way you care about people even when it hurts. Do-hyun didn't know what to say. He had never thought of himself as an example of anything. "My people think humans are primitive," Valara continued. "They think you're ruled by your emotions, that you can't control yourselves. They think it makes you weak." Maybe they're right. They're not. That's what I've learned. She looked at him intensely. Your emotions don't make you weak. They make you strong. They're the reason you survive. What do you mean? I mean that humans have faced extinction over and over. Wars, diseases, disasters. You've lost everything more times than any species should survive. But you keep going. You rebuild. You try again. She paused. Do you know why? Tell me. Because you love. You love so deeply, so completely that you can't give up. Even when everything is lost, you still have something to fight for, someone to protect, something to rebuild. Do-hyun thought about that. He had never considered human emotions as a survival trait. But she was right. Humans didn't survive because they were strong or smart or lucky. They survived because they cared too much to stop trying. That's a nice way to think about it, he said. It's the truth. I've seen it. I've felt it. She took his hand. You taught me that. I didn't teach you anything. I just fixed machines and tried not to embarrass myself. You taught me everything. Her voice was firm. You taught me that it's okay to feel too much, that caring isn't a weakness, that being afraid doesn't mean you have to run away. She stood up and moved closer to him. I spent 300 years trying to be less than I was, trying to feel less, care less, want less. You showed me that I don't have to do that anymore. Do-hyun looked up at her. She was beautiful in the harsh light of the engineering bay. The colors on her skin shifted like water, like light, like something he couldn't name. I didn't mean to teach you anything, he said. I was just trying to survive. That's how humans teach best. By surviving. She leaned down and pressed her forehead to his. It was a Keith gesture, he knew. It meant trust. It meant openness. It meant something too deep for words. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For being afraid, and for staying anyway. Do-hyun closed his eyes. He felt her presence, her warmth, her reality. She was here. She was staying. Against all odds, against all logic, she had chosen to be here. I have something to tell you too, he said. What? When you first came here, I avoided you because I was scared. Scared of getting attached. Scared of getting hurt. Scared of feeling something for someone I couldn't have. I know. But I was wrong about something. I thought if I avoided you, I could stop myself from caring. I thought I could control my feelings if I just stayed away. You couldn't. No, I couldn't. He opened his eyes. I think I cared about you from the first moment I saw you. Before I knew anything about you. Before we ever spoke. Valara smiled. That's a very human thing to say. It's the truth. I know. I felt the same way. She pulled back slightly. When I first saw you at the welcome ceremony, not looking at me while everyone else stared, I knew there was something different about you, something real. I thought I was being rude. You were being honest. That's rare, among humans and Keth alike. They looked at each other for a long moment. Two people from different worlds, different species, different cultures. They had every reason to stay apart. Logic said it was impossible. Politics said it was dangerous, but they didn't care. Humans didn't care about logic or politics when it came to the people they loved, and Valara, it seemed, had learned to be the same way. What happens now? Do-hyun asked. Now we figure it out, together. She smiled. That's what humans do, right? Make it up as they go? Basically, yes. Then let's do that. Let's make it up. Let's see where it goes. It might not go anywhere good. It might not, but it might go somewhere great. She squeezed his hand. That's worth the risk. Do-Yun thought about his grandfather, about the engineers he had trained, about Yuna and the captain and everyone else who had shaped his life. They had all taught him the same thing. The things worth having were worth the risk. Okay, he said. Okay? Let's do it. Let's figure it out together. Valara's skin flushed with warm colors, gold and pink and soft orange. Joy. That was what joy looked like on her. I should warn you, she said. I'm still learning to be human. I'll make mistakes. That's fine. Humans make mistakes all the time. It's our specialty. And I'll probably be too emotional. Also fine. I'm too emotional too. We can be too emotional together. She laughed. It filled the engineering bay with sound. Together, she said. Together. 6 months later, Do-Yun received a transfer. He was reassigned to a space station in a different sector, closer to Keth space. It was part of the new diplomatic arrangement. Human and Keth would work side by side. He said goodbye to Yuna and the captain and the junior engineers. It was hard, harder than he expected, but he knew it was right. The space station was cold and unfamiliar. His new quarters were smaller than his old ones. The work was different, complicated by new systems and new people, but he wasn't alone. Valara was there, working as ambassador. They saw each other every day. They ate meals together and walked the corridors and sat by windows looking at the stars. They were building something new, not just a relationship, something bigger, a bridge between two species, a proof that different could work together. It wasn't easy. There were problems and misunderstandings and moments of doubt. But they kept going. That was the human way. That was their way now. One evening, they sat together in the observation lounge. The stars burned in the darkness outside. Do you regret it? Valara asked. Leaving your ship? Coming here? Do-Yun thought about it. He missed the horizon's edge. He missed his friends. He missed the engineering bay that smelled like machine oil and felt like home. But he looked at Valara, the shimmer of her skin, the depth of her eyes, the way she tilted her head when she asked questions. No, he said, I don't regret it. Even though it's hard? Especially because it's hard. Easy things aren't worth much, she smiled. That's a very human thing to say. You keep saying that, because it keeps being true. They sat together in the starlight, two people from different worlds, learning to be one. The universe was vast and cold and empty, but right here, in this moment, it was full of possibility, full of hope, full of love. And that was enough. It was more than enough. It was everything.